I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. Leshii the Dwarf is here. Hi.
Hello.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on. Please introduce yourself to everybody.
Thank you for having me. I'm Leshii the Dwarf, your non-binary variety dwarven VTuber, and I'm a dwarf.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on. I do appreciate it. When did you get started with the VTuber thing?
I got started in VTubing about 3 years ago, but I'd been streaming for about a year prior to that as well.
Mm-hmm. Were you doing the face cam thing?
No, I was going faceless, and for a good chunk of it, I was also mic-less, so I was just silent gameplay, and I didn't really transition out of that until I realized that I kind of actually enjoyed, giving folks something to play with.
Yeah, well, that's cool. That's nice. So you didn't have the trauma of going from the face cam to the avatar.
No,
Mm-hmm.
I started initially just to kind of show friends some games that were a little difficult to show in Discord.
Yeah.
And then, every once in a while a random person showed up and I didn't want them to feel left out. And things kind of spiraled from there.
It found you.
Yes, yeah.
You're just trying to do something and it found you anyway.
Yeah, I was just hanging out and then all of a sudden I kind of like this actually.
So it was when it started and folks, started coming back and you got yourself, you're streaming more and more often. Was it a case of suddenly you got pretty hungry for doing this or was it something that awakened?
I think it was a slow realization. Friends would come along and personal friends still are the bulk of the people who come to see me.
Mm-hmm.
But, I've met some people here and there, folks who just kind of showed up for one reason or another.
Yeah.
Very early on, it was very much a situation where, this random guy really liked the game I happened to be playing for a while, and I didn't want to let him down, so I figured I'd just keep going.
That's when you really take ownership of the situation. This person, I don't know where he is, don't know where he or she is, don't know what country they're in.
He doesn't show up anymore, but my heart's out to you, guy. It's been a good about 3.5 years since I've last seen you, but I remember your username.
And now they're the president of France.
God save us all.
But the anonymity kind of goes both ways. I don't think folks talk about that too much, but they're not going to know what you look like probably unless you tell them or show them. And they could be anywhere. They could be next door.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly right.
But the idea of being able to entertain people who are standing upside down from you on the other side of the planet is pretty amazing.
It is. I in particular tend to stream rather late on the West Coast, so there's not insignificant portion of the people who come by and check things out and say hi to me that are in Southeast Asia or Australia or Eastern Europe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because that's how timelines happen up.
Oh yeah, I'm lucky enough to where my job is in the evenings, where I can do interviews with folks out in the Pacific region at
the far reaches.
Yeah, the far reaches at midnight my time, which is going to be in the early evening their time. Or at noon my time, which is going to be in the early evening in European time for them.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, if somebody shows up in the middle in I don't know, Pakistan, I guess I'm SOL. But
it takes effort and passion on both sides to make things meet.
Yeah, I don't know if I have that passion anymore, and I certainly lost the effort some time ago.
Well, you're doing this, aren't you?
Oh yes.
There's a little bit in there rattling around.
Yeah, and we're trying to get rid of it, but no one wants to buy it. It's still in there. But it really,
one of these days, Eric.
Yeah.
One of these days.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just too much fun just talking with so many people and so many different backgrounds. So what got you into streaming in the first place?
I said earlier that I kind of just started to try and play things for friends that wouldn't work in Discord. It started when when we got our hands on a capture card
Yeah.
to make videos of console games, and it wasn't being used, so I decided to borrow it, play a little bit of Animal Crossing when that was the new stuff.
Yeah.
Didn't really have a good way to hook that up to Discord, so I loaded up OBS, and then it was trivial just to hook it up to Twitch. So there we were.
Yeah, but if I tried that, I'd hook it up to like the toaster. I wouldn't be able to come up with that sort of thing. You young people know all the tricks. We just plugged it in and hoped the tube came on.
You say that, but there's no toast streaming on Twitch yet. You could be at the start of a new market.
That's true, but I also managed to set 2 toasters on fire last year, so I don't think that's a good idea.
Well, I'm only up to 1, so you got me beat so far.
Yeah, well, you got plenty of time. You can catch up.
By God, I'm working on it.
And if you do, make sure it's on stream. That way you can do like a special donathon around it.
Oh, you're right. I really got to hook up my stuff then.
And remember, everything is monetizable.
Everything. Especially accidents.
Oh, my gosh. And especially that. I mean, there were, in radio, we had ball games where everything was sponsored. This foul ball brought to you by this. I'm like, you actually got somebody to sponsor the foul. What if they hit 800 foul balls in this game? Am I going to have to say this line every time? Yes.
You sure are.
Okay. This blinking foul ball is brought to you by...
For the upteenth time.
Yes. By the time you're done, they throw another one. So what type of games do you like to play now that you've got things rolling?
I play everything. I know that's a bit of a cheap out answer, but like I didn't grow up with a lot of the most popular consoles and games. So a part of what it is rediscovering things that used to be classics for everyone else, and part of it is really exploring indie games right now because we're in a really good age for it.
It really is, and they come up with ideas that don't have to go through Joe in accounting and Fred in legal and all this
shareholders and boardroom meetings.
Yeah, and AI matrices to figure out what the public supposedly wants. They said, "Hey, I got this idea and I'm going to do it," and and it's basically just them doing it. What's one
personal?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What's one indie game that really has struck you as really good so far?
One that has come back to me time and time again, and I'm sure it won't be a surprise, is Dwarf Fortress, if you've ever heard of it.
Dwarf Fortress.
Yes.
So what type of game is it?
It is a simulator. It's a lot like looking at the weirdest ant farm in the world. You don't control any of the little dwarves in this fortress, but you kind of have to tell them what to do, and you hope they do it.
Oh.
But it is simulated to an absurd degree. To give an example that comes up in interviews, they had an issue where cats in the game were keeling over from alcohol poisoning for no reason. And they couldn't figure out why. So they look deep in the code and they find out that dwarves in a tavern would get rowdy and spill their brew. Cats walk through, get their paws dirty, and they're simulated to lick their paws to clean them. But if they're standing in a puddle of like spilled ale, they'll do that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Until they die of alcohol poisoning. It is simulated down to the point where little individual characters, of which you can have hundreds, can have missing fingers.
Oh my gosh.
It's so granular. It's like looking at the tiniest little ants, and it's beautiful.
Ah, that's amazing detail for an independent game. I mean,
it is. As far as I'm aware, it's made by like 2 brothers.
Oh wow. I mean, how long did it take them to put together?
I think it's been going for about 20 years. Still in development, but it's been going on for a long time. I first started playing in high school about 15 years ago.
It started on the Commodore 64, and it's gone from there.
It feels like it. It didn't have graphics for a while.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely remember that back in the 80s. Those graphics games that I could not figure out to save my life. There was one game that was based on the Douglas Adams book, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that series.
Oh yeah,
And I
yeah.
love that series. I love the book. Uh, and it was a non-graphics text game, and I couldn't get past the first two lines.
It takes a certain kind of person sometimes.
Yeah, I'm pretty nuts, but you really have to have a special kind of, I don't know, British humor crazy in order to get through that one. And there was just nothing. I couldn't even get through the first room, and it finally just sat on the desk until I threw it out. And
Sometimes it's like that.
that was expensive back then. Um, or it's not as expensive as now, but still pretty expensive. The the do you get suggestions from your folks the folks that come to your streams to play games, or are these games that you seek out yourself?
I get suggestions, but I don't always take them.
Mm.
Uh, I will be honest, a lot of my longest running games are ones that were recommended by friends, ones that they found to be like influential in their taste or all-time classics that I'd never played.
Mm.
And by God, sometimes it's fun to just watch someone make all the choices you didn't in a game.
What's one of those classics that you're talking about?
The original Dragon Age Origins was one of the first ones I did that bridged the gap from before VTubing to after.
So did they watch you play it and marvel at the things that you did that they didn't?
Oh yeah.
Gosh, I didn't
I,
think
I
to do it
think
that way.
it was in a time where I think a lot of people around me were younger and didn't want to didn't want to be mean in the game, right? You make dialogue choices and you don't want to be a jerk to everybody. But
Yeah,
I'm 30 now. I don't care. I'll be mean to a virtual character if it gets me what I want. Sure.
that's right. You push the old lady off the cliff. Well,
But it's the adversary that makes it more interesting
yes,
sometimes.
yes,
If everyone's just nice to everyone, it's not much of a game, is it?
that's right. I got 20 copper out of that. I can use that for something later in the game. The kids today don't realize what you have to do in these video games to get ahead.
It's all so simple these days.
Yes, yes, we had to put in the floppy disks, and sometimes we didn't even have places to put them. We just set them on the television and hoped it worked.
You tried to make sure it didn't end up in the sunshine, or else too many days later it'd be melted.
Yes, yes. I can tell you for a fact that I would play the Dungeons and Dragons games for the Commodore,
Mhm.
and
Ooh.
yeah, the gold box games, which for the time were tremendous. I mean, they were a lot of fun. But if you played them too long, the disk drive would heat up, and you would have all sorts of combinations of things on the screen.
Oh yeah.
Half fighter, half bugbear. Like,
And it wouldn't read as either of them in the code.
no, it would not. The code was all over the place, and like, okay, I guess I'm supposed to let it cool
What
off
a
for
beautiful
while.
time it was, though.
Oh, well, that was such a big step forward for computers.
It was.
Yeah, I was in the early mid '80s in school there, high school, and we got Apple IIs to learn computers on. Um, and that happened to have the same basic language as my Commodore 64. So
There you go.
so I was programming just horribly long things for the computer. Things
For
that,
the love of the game.
absolutely, I had these things that were printouts on dot matrix paper about an inch thick, and I used every integer that you possibly could think of, and and nowadays people could be able to program it in 5 seconds using some sort of code that I'm never going to learn. But will they have the fun of finding an error in 1 inch thick paper? That that
Sometimes.
it's just not nearly as fun as it used to be. Um,
Oh, but things are going in a direction.
mm,
People are yearning for those days.
yeah, well, it is kind of funny to see people going back to finding some of these older games and playing them, and maybe they're getting a little bit away from the corporate grind of games a little bit, and
Oh, yeah.
going back to the basics. There are so many independent games now that you see that don't have that super polish, but have the gameplay and the story behind it that you really want to get behind.
And you can feel the passion, and that's the important part.
Oh yeah, yeah. The one that comes to mind for me because I have 30 save files for it is Stardew Valley.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, he does it by himself, and still does it by himself.
All for a love of a certain era without feeling like he needs to copy it.
Nope, no.
Just interpret it.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be right if he used any other art style for it. It wouldn't just
No, it wouldn't. Wouldn't do.
It's just absolutely perfect, and the fact that he keeps updating it still is pretty hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if he ever is going to get that second game done.
He'll find time. He'll find time. That dude never stops working.
Oh, he doesn't either, and he responds to comments and stuff too. So there's some corporates that could certainly use some lessons from that. But
but they don't deserve them.
No, they don't. They absolutely don't. So since you've been on, has it been easy for you? I mean, you had some folks that were friends that were already streaming, didn't you, when you started? Or at least
I had artist friends, and they would stream their art occasionally, but not for the audience, just kind of to have company.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say I was the first among my friend group to stream games, but I was certainly one of the earlier ones, and I've lasted longer than most of them. I have, Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I have one friend who's been putting out YouTube videos for longer than I've been streaming, but I think he's the only one I can think of, at least in my close group, that have been pushing for a lot longer than me.
Well, that's a different animal in a way. I mean, you get to edit.
Yes.
Going live, you don't get to edit. You just hope that nobody noticed.
Well, see, he does both now, so he gets the worst of both avenues.
Oh boy! And now he's got.
Yeah.
Somebody records it. Now there's proof. That's even worse.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so you've been strictly on Twitch, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you thought about moving over and doing some YouTube stuff?
Oh yeah. I mean, the barrier to do it is very, very small, but it's a lot of procrastination. I have almost everything set up, but very recently I had to shut down my old YouTube and start up a new one, and I'm kind of in the middle of transferring things over. So once that's set up, it'll probably happen.
Okay, well let me know so I can put that on, because for all these interviews, sure, I put the links on, so I want to add that on when you have it, so to make sure people come out and see what's going on with you. As far as collaborations go, have you been able to do a lot of those?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I did a lot of them when I first started. It was really big in helping me to not feel weird streaming, frankly. Especially when I didn't have my own spot. My computer used to be in the living room with everyone else hanging out, and being able to set aside time to just say, "Hey, I'm playing games with a friend for a while."
Yeah. Yeah,
kind of helped.
Yeah, just everybody quiet down a little bit, and that would work to a certain extent until somebody finally just throws something at you and decides they're going to turn the television up. I'm lucky enough to where we have an extra room here, and I'm far enough away from everybody where we don't get a whole lot of yelling or anything else going on in the place. But that. Yeah. That can actually be, if you get a little bit of sound dampening in the room, that helps out too. That doesn't cost very much.
You'd think so.
Yeah. I got some and immediately realized that I actually could not put it up in the room that I used. Luckily,
I during one stream, I was actually gifted a set of sound dampening foam pads from a very kind viewer who stopped by.
Yeah.
Checked out my wish list online, bought them for me. They arrived, and I realized I don't know how to put these up. They've been sitting in a bag for 2.5 years.
Well, just set the bag next to the computer, and it should work.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Just the ambient, absorption of the sponge bag.
Having 4 of them in one bag, it's like a concentrated super charged area of sound dampening.
Yeah, you could scream in there and it wouldn't come out.
Nope, nope. No one would hear you for days. You,
Mm-hmm.
you get completely lost in there. Sound goes in, does not come out,
Mm-hmm.
and then just that little bag. It, it. But even when you're talking streaming, and if you're just doing it at like a nearly monotone voice like mine, or you're not singing or doing any other types of things, you don't need a super microphone to do that.
No.
It's you just have one that does the regular frequencies, and you should be okay. Now, unless you're talking like Barry White, you're
Yes.
you're probably don't even need a microphone. Just get near the computer and talk, and it'll work. Um,
Just open the window. Folks will hear you from
yeah,
miles around.
snakes will come flying. Old Simpsons.
You get yourself something with a little bit of sound dampening, so when the kids go knocking on the walls, as they do, it's
Yeah,
not too bad.
yeah,
That's all you
absolutely.
need.
Yeah, you don't need a whole lot of stuff to get started. And that's a really great thing about this is there are people who are spending a lot of money and 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 maybe they're not getting a lot out of it, but they're having fun with it, and they would spend it on some other hobby. It's a hobby for them. Some
Yeah.
people are making a little dosh on the side, enough for gas money. Some people are in a big corporation
Yeah.
and they're doing fine. Other people do it once a month.
Hmm.
Uh, the variation is so huge. If you don't come on here and find somebody that you enjoy watching, you ain't looking.
You ain't trying hard enough.
Yeah, it's in the different personalities is amazing too. Um, you could
Every single possible kind of person you can imagine is on here and doing it and probably thriving,
yeah,
quite frankly.
yeah, and a lot of people you probably couldn't imagine are there too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you will be surprised.
yeah. And do you do you feel that people are more accepting of people on the internet in this particular field than they would be in some other fields, as far as how people identify themselves and present themselves?
I don't know, and I speak from the perspective of someone who is maybe not deep in, but is adjacent to furries.
Mm-hmm.
If you know much about that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and I know that there are a lot of circles in which different identities, whatever, are not necessarily the most welcome, but there are a lot of places on the internet where it's kind of fine, and a lot of it is finding a place where you want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think VTubing is about as prone to this or that as anything else, quite frankly. Again, it's accessible to anybody, so you will get anyone involved.
That is that.
Whether you are
Yeah.
welcomed or not is dependent on how you set yourself up.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, a person could be a jerk no matter how they set themselves up, and no one's going to come to your party no matter what in that circumstance.
Nope.
But it's I don't know. I think that in speaking as an old man,
Mhm.
um, I think that if this had started in the '80s, there certainly wouldn't have been as the diverse, as openly diverse a group of people as there is now.
That's true. I think you're right. I think it is very much capable because of the time we're in.
Mm-hmm.
But I think because it is just so easy to get involved, especially without paying money if you don't want to,
Mm-hmm.
and you can kind of do whatever you want as long as you fit the minimal criteria of like having a character that you put on screen sometimes, regardless of what you do.
And talking.
Yeah, it's whether a person feels welcomed or not is heavily dependent on the audience around them, and some of that can be that like you may be fine, but sometimes your friends aren't chill.
Mm. Well,
Sometimes it's like that.
yeah. It's unfortunate, but true. And I I'm trying to understand things from a from an old timer's perspective here. Is it easier to? Do you think it's easier for folks to present themselves the way they want to here, as opposed to being able to do it out in the workforce or in person?
Yes,
Mm.
and as someone of especially kind of ambiguous gender presentation.
Mm.
A VTuber avatar is a lot cheaper than nice clothes. I can go damn about anywhere and I'm fine, but like it's easy out here, you know? You put the part of you that you want to be seen out, and that's the important part.
Yeah. Yeah, you get
You gotta consider if what you're putting out is what you want people to see, but if you have that kind of self-reflection, then you're probably going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and it all still comes down to personality in the end.
Yes.
And but I'm heartened in a way to see that people are able to at least have this as a bit of solace anyway.
Oh yeah.
If things aren't going the best, and how they're trying to, live their lives and be who they are, and here you get to set your own standards in your own universe, and you're inviting people to it. It's a wonder, and I hope people remember that.
It is, and I hope it's recognized a lot. I'm very happy and open to admit that VTubing was a big part in me figuring out my own identity and how to explore that in a way that felt satisfying.
Yeah, yeah, and did that.
I was not entirely sure before, and now I do.
Yeah,
now I know, even if it's maybe a little weird.
It's 2025.
Yeah. What's anything matter anymore? Be yourself.
Look around. Do you see anything? we had 2 weeks ago here in the middle of Illinois. We had a tornado warning during the day and a frost overnight. Tell me that's fine.
Be yourself while you can, because God knows it's going to get real weird sometimes.
Yeah, there's the sun is throwing giant chunks of itself at us. Okay. I'm not going to worry about these things. It's good to see that it's not accepted. At least people are able to live together in this place.
Absolutely.
And hopefully, even though the people are hiding behind an avatar, I use hiding because I can't figure out another word to put it. They get to know each other better.
And I think a lot of them do. I know a lot of people who have found, friends, family, loved ones, etc., through VTubing, and they had nothing much in common at first, other than that they both liked having an anime character for an avatar. That's all it takes.
Yes.
But it's up to you to make that connection.
Yeah, and then what you do with it after that, and it's still personality at the end that brings it. Do you think we're going to see more people taking up marketing for VTubers?
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to be good at it for a while.
I can see it.
In the same way that any business will struggle to handle like a fringe interest, sort of situation.
Right.
They failed with furries. They'll fail with VTubers for a little bit.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I was there for when streaming audio started, and I can tell you the station I worked for fumbled it like they played for the Chicago Bears. I mean, it was very easy, and they were printing money with it, and they just gave it to somebody who didn't know their computer from a wristwatch at the time, and it wasn't a digital. And she just let it go to waste, and everybody else passed them up. But right now, most stations are making money off of their digital.
Yeah,
and it's that people have figured it out. I think soon as VTubers realize that they're not in competition with each other right now, that the competition is to bring people in general.
Yes.
Yeah, there's millions of people that would enjoy what's going on, and they don't even know about it yet.
VTubers are in competition with the average person's free time.
Exactly.
A person will only ever come by and watch or hang out or listen to your thing, whatever, if they have the time to do it. And a lot of that depends on them getting paid better, working fewer hours,
Hmm.
feeling less exhausted at the end of the day, all
Right.
very important to the longevity of a VTuber.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Any streamer, really.
Yeah, it is, and and the talent will win out in the end, mostly, but you also got to work at it. And if
Yes.
you can't you could be the most talented football player in the world, but if you're terrible at practice and you don't show up to any games, it's not going to make any difference. Um, it's going to be very interesting to see how this turns out with it, and how many savvy people pick up on it very soon. There are some folks now who are in the top independent VTubers that scare me. They're that savvy. Uh, Someone like a Shy Lily is
Hmm.
very savvy. I mean, I would not put anything past her at this point.
There are people who are exceptional at bringing in new viewers, who are exceptional at selling themselves.
Mhm,
But even on the side, the people who just work with the tech, like
mhm.
uncover new ways to use the software we've got,
Oh yeah.
write their own and make it available to others. It's like going to work and talking with the engineers, the marketing,
Mhm.
CEO all together in the same place, and you're all kind of on the same board because God knows you're all eating from the same soup bowl.
Yeah,
But
that's
there's
true.
such incredible people who do amazing things, and they are invisible to people outside of this extremely niche space.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I talked to some folks in here who are extremely good artists who
Yeah,
do work for other VTubers. Um, not always gratis. I mean, sometimes they do it to get paid, and good on them, they get paid. Um,
got to keep the lights on.
yeah, and we're not hearing about them
The
because
average person doesn't know.
yeah, the average person. I can tell you for a fact that nobody my age knows what I'm doing here. I have yet to
But that's
interview.
why you're doing it, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's one of the reasons. I have yet to interview
Yeah.
somebody who's 59. Okay.
Yeah, I'll see if I can drum someone up.
Yeah, there might be somebody, but I'm kind of scared of them because I'm here by myself now. I'm, I've cornered the market for 50-plus-year-old people. But
Look, you want a VTuber who's kind of up there? I might know a guy. I'll send him your way.
that would be fun. That would be fun. And um,
Also, a dwarf.
yes, yes. Dwarfs unite for a common cause. But
Not a
there,
lot of us got to stick together.
yeah, that's right. And you got to pile on top of each other if you're going to you're going to be able to ride some of the rides.
We certainly had to be seen in the first place.
That's right. But there are more. I've talked to a lot more people who are in their 30s now that are doing this. Um,
Yeah.
and I am happy for that. That people are allowing themselves to have fun with it, and not just because they're the first number in their age turned from 2 to 3 that they gave up the fun, and that's so sad because my generation was the first ones putting quarters in machines. So I had a Pong console in my house. Seriously, a Sears Pong console in my house.
Ah, the good old days.
Yeah, and I can tell you this: a lot of kids couldn't play that game now. What?
It's true. It's true.
They could first of all they couldn't figure out the knob. Where's the shoot
They
button?
didn't they didn't make them too robust back then either.
No, they didn't. We were lucky ours lasted as long as it did, but heck, we had my sister and I had a lot of fun with that thing. Um,
And you almost lost the whole industry too.
yeah, that's true. We did have a friend of a neighbor of mine had one of these RCA consoles, and it was the one where you plugged it into the back of the television, and the same wire that you plugged into the television also powered the machine,
Yes.
and
Yep.
frequently set everything on fire. And it did while we were bowling, or what was called bowling in that game. It just fires came out of the back television. Well,
The leaps and bounds engineering has come since that time.
yes, now the fire comes out of the disk drive.
Yes.
Totally different.
If it's even got one anymore.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've done that before. I said, here, I got a disc for you. Well, this doesn't have a disc drive. How does it play?
It doesn't anymore.
I've done all this for nothing. I have to use a thumb drive. What the heck is that? Um, it's what do you think of people who are coming in and don't make it after a couple of weeks? Put a lot of pressure on themselves, put a lot of money into VTubing, and then decide it's not for them.
Well, I would say that it's fine, right? Until you consider the money, because that's a separate thing. But
Mhm.
like every hobby will take a person, and I don't know, 8 out of 10 of them maybe just won't really click with it.
Mhm.
There's a lot to look at from the outside and love about this, but I think a lot of people don't realize the work that like long-term lasting people put in.
Mhm.
It's largely invisible, and probably for the better that way, actually.
Yeah.
But
Don't look at the
outside of
man behind the
sharing
curtain.
tech,
Yeah.
I want folks to share their resources, but also I think a lot of the effort that goes in is kind of boring. Frankly, it's
Yeah.
not that glamorous.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's for the hour that you go live, there's probably a couple that you spent in the week setting something up, unless you're doing it real low effort, and that's fine. I do that too.
And then,
But like,
yeah, go
unless
ahead.
you've spent a tremendous amount of money, like, what's a hobby that you didn't latch onto? What are you even going to remember in a year?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's
Unfortunately,
fine.
all my hobbies cost money. But
Yeah,
yeah.
every hobby costs money now.
Yeah.
That or you use it to make money and then you're miserable about it.
Oh yeah. Well, that's when you get older and you have to pay bills. And do I
Yeah,
can I keep two of these or do I have to sell one? Sell both. Okay.
yeah. But like, people come in, people go. I've been around the block for a minute. I've seen a lot of people come and go. I've seen a lot of people of different age groups do
Mhm.
that. And even the ones who don't really stick around learn something about themselves that's valuable in the process, because
Yeah.
God knows putting yourself in front of the camera teaches you a thing or two.
Teaches
Yeah,
me
I think.
I need insurance for broken cameras. That's what I need.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And-
Like, people leave, but they often leave better than they came.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm happy for that.
Yeah. Are you happy with where you're at?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's
I started this and with like the smallest expectations, and I'm
Mhm.
keeping up with it while it's fun. And I'll
Yeah.
probably stop when it's not fun, but it doesn't feel like it's going to stop being fun for a while.
Yeah. Have you developed any goals for yourself as you've been doing this?
Yes.
Hmm. And what would those
I
goals be?
I have a lot of games I'd like to play.
Mm.
I have some experiences I'd like to make because I like doing little events. I like doing fun little gimmicky situations. It's part of what brings me joy.
Cool.
I want to give people toys to play with while they visit me, but I try not to look at the numbers because I think that would make it miserable for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It, it, it's hard to not look.
Yeah, I've gotten down to checking maybe once every 6 months.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty good. I mean, I can tell you even for doing these interviews that I'll look at an interview and it won't get a whole lot of play, and I'm like, you know, but I'm like,
I imagine it's easier to hit that point when you have it on YouTube, and like when it's done, and people just have to file in. But for a stream, it's like, hey, we didn't rock this afternoon. That's all right.
yeah, yeah.
What does it matter?
Yeah, well, in radio, we didn't have that type of instant numbers that
Yeah.
that you do with this. You'd kind of get an idea if you were doing a call-in show and nobody called.
Hmm.
Either they didn't have any questions for you, or they weren't listening, and it's probably the latter. But we would get it in the ratings afterward. If you were dead last in the ratings, you probably weren't going to stay in the shift very long. Here you get that almost immediate notification as to whether or not you have more than people the fingers on your hand watching in any period of time. How do you keep?
If you're set up,
Yeah.
if you're set up a certain way, you'll get an email telling you how good you did, and I hate that. You were saying?
Getting an email telling you.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be awful.
I once ended a pretty long stream feeling like kind of unsure, and I got an email from a service I don't use anymore, admittedly, in my streaming. And they were like, "Hey, you were down, 15% viewership from last time." And it's like, great, this ruined my whole night. Why did you have to tell me this? What's the point of this?
It's kind of piling it on at that point, isn't it?
Yeah, rubbing salt in the wound a little bit. Why did you invent a system just to put me down?
I could do that by myself. I don't need any help.
Yeah, I'm very good at that.
If I want somebody to kick me, I'll do it myself.
I'm not letting no robot take the job of disappointing me away from me.
It took my job.
This is artisanal self-deprecation, gosh darn. I can do it with my bare hands.
That's right. Back in the old days, we woke up early in the morning. The first thing we did was punch ourselves right in the face.
Then I'd snarl in the mirror and wake the boys up.
That's right. That's right. And then they went back to sleep because it was too early. It's just a pleasure talking with you, and I'm glad you're enjoying yourself with it, and I'm glad that you got a really good outlook for it.
Thank you.
I came in. I gotta tell. I came in on your stream the other day.
Yes, you did come in at I wouldn't call that a normal night, however.
And the first thing you did is start apologizing.
I was in the bottle a little bit, not in a bad way. We were having a good time, but I was a little bit deeper in the bottle than I thought, and you arrived, and I felt extremely underdressed for the occasion, very suddenly.
That was hilarious. That was funny. But and the folks who were there with you just did not pay any attention. Just kept right on going with you.
Yeah, I mean, look, you get a little lubrication, I'd say, and it's in the vibe. You ever watch Lord of the Rings? They love having a drink.
Oh yes, absolutely. It's like the video game that I've got on my phone. The Luck Be a Landlord. There's a reason why you pick the dwarves. Because they do lots of things. They get you money on booze and on mining. So get as many of them as you can.
What else do you need, really?
That's right, booze and mining. You're all set, especially in the Midwest.
Yeah. I don't make it a habit to get maybe sauced that bad, but it seems almost every time I do that someone I'm trying not to look like a bum in front of shows up. So it's just kind of luck of the draw.
Folks, we're going to have the links so you can see Leshee's stuff and catch them at their highest peak.
Stick around, you might catch me at my lowest low too.
Thank you so much for coming on. We're going to get you on again here before the end of the year.
Thank you so much. It's been a joy.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.